Hello friends. So this is lecture number 59 on the history of the English language. Today we are going to consider the contributions made by 18th century grammarians and rhetoricians to the fixing, the ascertaining, correcting, purifying of the language. That is English language. Now we have seen 18th century it's all about correcting and purifying the language, and in 18th century questions of grammar and usage had become a matter of popular interest. It's not only in the academic circles, but ordinary people started talking about it. When they say that something was going wrong, then people say they will write letters to the newspapers or that is periodical essays and so on, to point out this. So grammarians and rhetoricians, they made valuable contributions in this field, towards this correction, towards this process of purification, towards the process of ascertaining, towards the process of fixing, along with the lexicographers. We understand that we saw, the last class we saw, what did we see? That is Dr. Johnson, the first and the great, one of the first and the greatest of English lexicographers, who, as in the words of Boswell, who conferred on the language of his country stability, who conferred stability on the language of his country. So that is the contribution of something that is inestimable contribution, we can say. Something you cannot estimate the importance of that, because you should know at that time. At that time, people used to worry about the barbarous condition of our language, isn't it? So the decade beginning 1760, that is, you can say 1760, that is the about 1760, yes, 1760, there was great interest was shown. See, great interest was shown. The great 1760 witnessed a striking outburst of interest in English grammar. Till then, they were not so bothered about, conscious about it. That's striking outburst of interest, not normal interest, but outburst of interest in English grammar. 1761, for example, Joseph Priestley published his Rudiments of English Grammar. 1761, Joseph Priestley. He was not a priest, that's his name, Priestley, P-R-I-E-S-T-L-Y. Published these Rudiments of English Grammar. What is rudiments means? It's beginnings, rudiments of English grammar. So that was probably one of the serious and significant works on English grammar. Grammar means rules, isn't it? A set of rules given for character usage. 1762, Robert Loth, his name was Robert Loth. He was a clergyman, Robert Loth. He was a clergyman who became the Bishop of London later on. He published his short introduction to English grammar. Short introduction to English grammar. Short introduction to English grammar. So already we have two now, isn't it? One is the Rudiments of English Grammar and a short introduction to English grammar by Robert Loth. He was, as I told you, became the Bishop of London after some time, and then he was a conservative, very conservative, against changes, conservative, and a typical representative of normative and prescriptive school of grammar. Normative and prescriptive. Normative and prescriptive. School of grammar. What is normative and prescriptive? Normative is norm, N-O-R-M, norm. You say now you have to observe certain norms, means rules. So rule based, no. Normative comes from norms, that is rules. You will get a bank loan as per the norms laid down by the bank. Means rules laid down by the bank. Prescriptive, again, you are asked to do certain things. The doctor gives you a prescription now. So you have to take 6 tablets, one when you get up, then one after the meals, again 2 in the before meals, lunch, and 2 after that, and again you have to waste them to 2 more, then you go to bed 5 more. So what happens is that after something, soon you won't be in a position to take any tablets at all. Understand? That is the way the prescription is given. Prescribed means you have to, that's an order. When you say now, when you go to hospital, you will see that the sheet, there is a sheet maintained by the nurse there. And then that is orders of the doctor, orders. He gives orders, means prescribing, that is it. So what means prescriptive grammar? Normative grammar means rule-based grammar. Prescriptive grammar also the same thing, but you are a little more force is there in prescriptive grammar. So he was, because now these days we have got a descriptive grammar. What is descriptive grammar? You take a piece of language or a chunk, means an area of language, and you describe it. It is like this, it is in this way. There is no order, there is no rule. But you just explain, you just explain the language that you see. So that it can be interlanguage, it can be classic, means literary language, it can be colloquial language. See, that is how it can be registers, registers, no? That is medical register. Register doesn't mean that it is a book. But the type of language used by medical people, that's called medical register. Lawyers register means the type of language used by lawyers. So that is. And also you have dialects. Dialects means a type of language used in a particular area or a particular place. So you have got dialect. No? The difference between dialect, I suppose you know dialect, then register, and idiolect. So, and language of standard language. Dialect means a variety of language used in an area or by a group of people. That is dialect means. For example, you see dialect of English in London, dialect of Hindi in Madhya Pradesh, dialect of Hindi in Rajasthan. Because Rajasthan Hindi and Madhya Pradesh Hindi, there will be both are Hindi, but you will find that there will be differences. So that is what we call dialect. So variety of language used by some people. Register means variety of language used for something. One is used by, the other is used for. Means, for example, for medical purposes, for legal purposes, for you can see teaching, academic purposes, literary purposes. These are registers again. So one is user-based dialect. Register is use-based. And idiolect means individual's variety of language. For example, the variety of English I am using will be different from you are using. The 30 students here, you are using 30 different idiolects. Understand? Similar idiolects put together, you get dialects. That is, no language you can find in its purest and standard form. It's not possible. We speak about standard pronunciation. Only 2% of the people in the world use standard pronunciation according to Daniel Jones, pronouncing dictionary, the author of the pronouncing. Alright, so that is a kind of digression, but I think that it will help you because we are also studying linguistics now. Yeah, that's it. So normative and prescriptive school, that's what it is. And then again you can see there's another person, John Ash. See, his was Grammatical Institutes. John Ash, he published the Grammatical Institutes. That's the name of a text, not an institute. institute, grammatical institute. So John Ash. So you find the great interest shown by people during this period, 18th century, as we have already seen the 18th century. These questions, there was a striking outburst of interest in grammar. So we have already seen that. Now 1762, James Buchanan, he published another grammar, James Buchanan. That is called the British grammar, 1762. J. Buchanan, James, British Institute. So it is not, don't think that it is something like a tutorial institute. that is the title of a book. So the British grammar, no, not British Institute. And that is institute is for grammatical institute. So British grammar. Yes. Sorry, that is. Hope you will excuse me for this. That is names now. It's difficult to. Sometimes we mix up so many of them. So we mix up. Sorry. Okay. So you have got then John Ash. You have got grammatical institutes. And in 1786, Noah Webster. You have heard of Webster? No, Webster. He published his grammar. The title is Grammatical Institutes of the English Language. Grammatical Institute of the English Language. Grammatical Institute. Here it is institute. Institute. Here also institute. Here it is grammar of the English language. That is, and this was very influential in America. Webster's dictionary was very much influential in America. Now all these books, they ran into different editions. For example, Robert Low's grammar, that ran into 22 editions, and there were many people who imitated him. There were many people. So when somebody is imitating, means what? The value of that book definitely will increase. That's what happens. So the grammarians were favorites of the 18th century because they were the people who were ready to, they volunteered to write rules like this and for the correct usage. Without rule, you cannot do it. So then what happens? Use of these books, these were used in schools. So these books on grammar, they exerted a considerable influence on the people. Then there was another group of people called rhetoricians. Rhetoric, rhetoricians. Rhetoric means oratory. Oratory. Or eloquence. Eloquent speaking. Simple English we say speakers. That is oratory. So there is a discipline those days. People, public speaking, even we have got that. You go to institutes or institutions meant for public speaking. See how to make a presentation in public, how to speak in public on a topic and so on. There is a very famous formula for that, START. START is an acronym. That is public speaking. Those interested in this again, general knowledge and a slight digression, but I think it will be useful to you. START. This is the formula. START, S stands for surprise. So you should surprise the audience. Surprise the audience. First step is that. Second is you should tell a story. Tell a story for making a good speech. And third is you should relate. Relate means connect it with your life. Relate then. And then for this you have to for this surprise the audience, tell a story, then relate, and then you have to tell an anecdote, or you can conclude it. conclude the speech like that. See, you should, what you should say that towards the end of it, you can, after relating, you can give examples like that. So, for speaking from your life and so on. So you quote from the text. That is text, last T stands for. Quoting from textual references you can give. For example, concluding a speech you can say according to Shakespeare or according to John F. Kennedy, like that text. You can use text, academic text, reference to academic text. So then your speech will be perfect. There's one way, it's only one way of you. For example, suppose you are going to speak about the tsunami. Then you can say like that, do you know, you start with the question like that. Do you know that thousands and thousands of people are dying because of, like that, something you surprise the audience. But of course this is not the subject here, the digression, but I just give you one way of making a good speech. There are many ways of making good speeches, but this is one way of it. There are golden rules for making speeches. See, one condition is that you should, when you stand before the audience, you should think like this. The audience, they don't know anything about the subject. So you will get the confidence. Many ways are there. If you want, we will take a class on that later, not now. Okay, this is about rhetoric. Rhetoricians means great speakers. They study how to use the language eloquently. Eloquent speaking or excellent speaking or oratory, you can say. So in that case, what you find is that, see, rhetoricians, there is a very famous person, Thomas Sheridan. Thomas Sheridan. That was his name. Thomas Sheridan, father of the dramatist Sheridan, Thomas Sheridan. And his book is a British Education, published in 1756. British Education. British Education, published in 1756. So they also want, actually their aim, they focused on, say that is evils of immorality, then ignorance, and also false taste. So these are the things that the evils of immorality means using bad words and so on, ignorance of the people and false taste. And there's absolute necessities. In order to refine, ascertain and fix the language, it is absolutely necessary that people should be taught how to speak eloquently. Absolutely. Public speakers. The study of eloquence, he said, according to him, he said, look at the Roman language, that is Latin. Study of eloquence, the Mark Antony speech, study of eloquence, that is oratory. And the greatest of all the speakers that the world has ever seen is Demosthenes the Greek. Demosthenes, we talked about Demosthenes in the Sublime by Longinus, and also we talked about Demosthenes in our lectures on Sir Philip Sidney, see, Defense of Poesy, and Longinus on the Sublime. So Demosthenes, so he's a great speaker. In fact, he had a defect, stammering. So what did he do? He put pebbles in his mouth, pebbles, small stones, and then trained himself, and finally he became the greatest of all the speakers the world has ever seen or ever known. So that is what history says. Of course, after that we have got great speakers like John F. Kennedy, then all this Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and presently we have got many political leaders and so on, But history says, these are Mark Antony, history says the Demosthenes was the greatest of all speakers. Okay, leave it there. That's for general knowledge again. Sometimes general knowledge gets into what we are doing in the history of the English language. Sorry for the digressions. I hope that it will have some effect on your day-to-day life. So study of eloquence is very important it will definitely help This is what has happened to a Roman language, and therefore we must teach, we must insist that people should speak eloquently. So the more influential of rhetoricians was George Campbell. George Campbell. Campbell, this is another one. Thomas Sheridan rhetorician. George Campbell was another rhetorician. His philosophy of rhetoric, he wrote a book, Philosophy of Rhetoric, in 2 volumes. And his focus was good use. His philosophy of rhetoric. Philosophy of rhetoric. In 2 volumes. 2 volumes. So he focused on good use. Good use. Good use of what? Good use of language. Because we are speaking about that. So, both grammarians and rhetoricians, please leave out all the digressions that I have made. Okay? So then, both grammarians and rhetoricians, they made significant contributions to correcting, purifying, ascertaining, and fixing the language. Dictionary of course. So what was their aim? If to sum up, we can say their aim was to codify the principles of language and reduce it to rule. To codify the principles of language and reduce it to rules. 1. To codify the principles of language, and to codify and to reduce it to rule. That's important. So that's what their aim, reduce it to rule. The second was to settle disputed points and decide cases of individual usage. First is to codify, second is to settle disputed points and clarify, clear, so that, and decide upon cases of individual usage and decide upon cases of individual usage. So that is the second one. First is the codify, then second is the settling. That is to point out common errors. It is their business to point out and thus correct and improve the language. To point out errors and correct and thus improve. That's the aims of these people, aims of both rhetoricians and grammarians for this. Understand? So I told you about the Bishop Loth, Besides showing what is right, yes, sir, that is the principle. Besides showing what is right, Bishop Lowe said, you must also explain what is wrong. See that? For example, you should explain what is right, you can show them what is right, and also explain what is wrong. So this is a principle that is accepted in modern teaching programs also. If you say, for example, you say a sentence like this, I have gone yesterday. So, this is wrong. You point out what is wrong. Because when you use present perfect, you cannot use an adverb indicating time in the past. Because the meaning is, I have means just now. You cannot say, I have gone just now yesterday. You cannot say. When you say, I have gone, what is understood is just now. So you cannot say, I have gone just now, yesterday, you cannot say. So you point out the mistake. Right? And then tell them what is the correct form. The correct form is, I have gone. And explain why. Because this time indicates that this has happened someday before. But when you say, I have gone or I have eaten, that means you have eaten just now. Something that has happened just now. So you explain it like that. It's not only just pointing out the mistakes, but you should explain and say why is it a mistake, and also show them the correct. This is a principle now also accept. Bishop Robert Lowe, he said that this is pointing out what is wrong is the most important thing. That is, you should focus on that. See that the procedure, this procedure is a prominent feature of you find in the prominent feature in teaching programs, settling. So how can you settle a disputed point? There are three ways. One is reason, the logic, the other is analogy, the other is example. Example of classical language. You can say, for example, one is reason or logic. You can use reason or logic for settling a disputed point. If you say, I never don't see him. Or the best example is you can see double negatives. So that is an example for that. You have got a double negative, a sentence with a double negative. Then what will happen? You will say that according to logic you say two negatives means a positive. See? Or you have got a double superlative. The most unkindest cut of word, that is very famous one. So if you say, Chaucer says, no, he never ne villainy he never ne villainy no said. So this is three negatives. See that? So you can correct this saying like this. These three negatives is not accepted in according to logic. But today it is not the case. Today, this is again the point is not contradicting this. Today, what happens is that if you have two negative, it is said that you are strengthening the negative. Two negatives will not form a positive. You are strengthening a negative. See that? I shall never see him no more. I shall never see him no more. What is that? I shall never go there no more. It's double negative. That means strengthening the negative. Today's view is like that. At least some people hold that way. Understand? That is. Then reason and logic. Second is, we have already seen analogy. Second method of correction is analogy. Analogy means similarity. If you can say backwards you can say, no? Then you can also say forwards. So that is similarity. If it is backward, you can also say forward. So that is similarity. That's one thing. Suppose somebody uses a different or confuses these things, you can say correct it by on the basis of similarity. That is analogy. And the third method of correction is you can see examples of classical languages. Examples of classical means Latin especially. That's why we have got it's me once upon a time was wrong. Because it's me means it is me. Me is object. Object case, we have seen this already, accusative case. is intransitive. Only transitive words can take object. Cow eats grass. Understand? So you cannot say the object form of the pronoun here. You cannot use it. So according to classical rules, classical examples, you have to say it is I. But not now. Now of course these things, after you have got descriptive grammarians like Palmer, Sandwood and so on, you know. So these days people use it's me. If you say, if you use this form, it's I, people frown at you. It's an old guard, a conservative. In grammar you are conservative. So this is how you can correct. Some ways of correcting is, one is by logic or reasoning. Second is reason, not reasoning, reason or logic. Second is analogy. See, by analogy, I mean similarity, similar situations you can see. Like you have got examples already I have given you. Backwards. If you can have backwards, why can't we have towards? If you can say backwards, you can also say towards. So again, backward, toward. So this is similarity. Using similar examples or similar language pieces, you can correct a sentence if you find it is wrong. So that's another is classical examples. That is especially like up to, let's say, all the normative grammarians and prescriptive grammarians, they were slaves of Latin grammar. All the time it is Latin. Latin, and for example, Palmer says English grammar was nothing but Latin grammar. So that is so much of dependence there. And finally, the language, we have now started our journey from grammarians. Between we had some grammarians contributions. Second, we have got rhetoricians, contributions of rhetoricians who battled for eloquent speech. And third, we saw their aims of these people. Fourth, we saw the basis of correction. And fifth is settling mainly on the basis of usage. That's what we are going to see, usage. Horse, the critic, you know. You remember that we had some 7 or 8 lectures on Ars Poetica. Horse is known to you know. So use is the sole arbiter and norm of speech. This is what he said. Use is the sole arbiter and norm of speech. So, who is the judge to say this is right or that is wrong? It is the usage. If you say 1,000 people or majority of the people are using, that's what you can see, American English. No? Color, British we say COLOUR. But in America there is color. Perfectly alright for them. Why? Because their use is honor. So America you don't say petrol, instead you say gas. So that is use. So use is the final authority. To this, Dryden, Dr. Johnson, Dryden, then Chesterfield, then this. So many prominent people they insisted on. Joseph Priestley insisted upon the importance of usage. The grammarian Joseph Priestley insisted upon the importance of usage. And said that the custom of speaking is the original and the only just standard of any language. The custom of speaking, that is the custom of speaking. So that is usage. You can say that it is the doctrine of usage. Even now you will find, fifth is that the doctrine of usage. You will find even today when people, majority of the people are using a word, or you find an expression or a grammatical point and so on, no? Then you will find, oh, it is accepted this. Suppose he said, men is the standard plural. Suppose in some places you find mans. That is analogy. Boy, boys, so man, mans. This plural is plural by analogy or similarity. Boy, yes, boys. So why can't man plus mans? Those who know the history of English language will not justify this. Somewhere. How many times I have heard people speaking, did he went? Did he went? Did he went? See? Did he gave? I have heard many people speaking that. I would go on. How many times? In certain areas, people say like that, he will eating. He will eating. Instead of he is eating. So these things are, you cannot say these are faults, these are not these are mistakes, but we can say that is not standard use. That's all. You cannot say these are mistakes. Especially you have got a concept called interlanguage. You know what is interlanguage? Interlanguage means, see, you can say the SSLC level, school level. Even when you are learning a English foreign language, this is interlanguage. Means between the child's speech and the grown-up person's speech. Between. So there they make plenty of mistakes. Give. Because analogy is looked. Love. Why should you have gave? Looks very strange. So this way you have got to. I am not justifying these things. If somebody say, and latest is that communication is the. If you can communicate your ideas to somebody, then it's okay. That will be too liberal. Whether you agree or not, that's a different thing. Okay, so these are the things that we have seen. First, we saw the grammarians, and second, we saw rhetoricians, and third, we saw the aims of these people. Fourth, we saw correction, basis of correction. Fifth, we saw today's tendency is the doctrine of usage. Of course, it was laid down by Horace. He said the soul, according to Horace, use is the sole arbiter, judge, and norm of speech. Use is the sole arbiter and norm of speech, underline. So with that we come to the end of this grammarians and rhetoricians and the contributions that made. I am sorry, as I have got into some digressions and wasted your time. You can delete all those things. No? You can jump. If you are watching my video, you can jump and then you skip this and skip the digressions, and you can make use of my video. Hope that you will all right. Fine. Thank you very much.